And it was the time of the clubs and the after parties and the
Right.
oh my God, it was just, and cocaine was good back then.
Without that, like, without that, like.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of She Stays Wet with your girl, Joanna Divine. As you can see, I have an amazing guest, and we're going to talk about them in just a moment. But before we do, I just want to thank you for your continued love and support. And if you like what you see, and you like what you're about to hear, please, please, please subscribe, like, and share the videos. Okay, so today, or would you like to have your bitch buffet? And they would always say,
Bitch
I want a bitch buffet. So
they wanted the bitch buffet.
So then we would give them.
They wanted the bitch buffet.
Yeah. So basically, what a bitch buffet is when the guy would come to the house. The guy would come to the house. All of us would walk downstairs, and he would choose.
Okay, you would do like a little lineup.
Yeah.
Okay. How were they? Like, how were these men walking into the house? Like, you know how like maybe DL guys are?
Right.
Like they're a bit weird and awkward, right?
So, and you have to think about it. It's the 90s. So it's a totally different time.
Different time. And the situation itself is kind of like, you are already DL. You're showing up at this house being surrounded by a lineup of dolls. They must have been very kind of like, you know what I mean? I don't know. I
excited.
bet.
Hard-ons on display. Yes.
Yeah.
Some with no hard-ons, but we'll talk about that later. So we lived in Columbus, Ohio, which was a college town. So we got everything from college jocks to married lawyers, doctors, firemen, policemen.
Did you ever get like another doll? No.
It was I'm not going to put their business out there because I don't want anyone to know who was hoeing. But there were several of us that were hoeing, and I'm not going to say anybody else's name besides my own because I didn't get clearance from them. But I was the head hoe. And I would not answer the door because we had a guy that would answer the door.
Did he live there?
Yeah. Well, no. He was a doll as well, but he didn't pass as well as we did. So
he was the resident bouncer.
Yeah. His name was Malik. Hi, Malik. Oh my God, I can't believe I'm telling his business like this. So he would open the door and let the guy in and make sure that he was legit. He would get the money.
Yeah.
And then we would then come downstairs.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you were like upstairs waiting for like the seal of approval.
It was a 2-floor house. It was 4 bedrooms. And I had the front room.
Did you like, how often would you get guys that
Every
just
day.
had to be turned away?
We would never turn away a guy because the thing about it is that they would come with an agenda, but we already knew the agenda. So we weren't stupid. We were very smart. We would, really ask them the questions. If you are law enforcement, you have to tell us, are you a part of law enforcement?
Oh.
So law enforcement has to tell you that if you ask them, that if they're a part of law enforcement, are you an undercover police officer? Are you affiliated with law enforcement in any way? They would have to tell you. And then we would hang up.
Legally.
And then we would freak out, not answer the phone for a couple of days, and then we would start again.
And okay, so but do you think you ever got someone who was like actually onto it and like trying to
arrest us?
Or just like was an undercover officer?
I had 2 undercover cops.
Who you actually ended up meeting with?
Yeah.
And what?
And they told me. He said, I'm an undercover cop, but I'm cool.
But you're cool. Both of them were just cool with it. But you never had that experience.
Hi,
But like no one ever like you went.
I was never arrested.
Into the room and like.
I was never attacked or hurt. There was one time later on, many years later, that something did happen to me. But that was many years later, and it was a totally different circumstance.
Okay.
And but during those 2...
You weren't living in the house, kind of thing?
No.
Okay.
But during those 2 years, we did the damn thing. I was very popular.
I'm sure.
Because at the age of 19, I was like 110 pounds wet. I was 6 feet tall. And I had the body, the look. Like all I had to basically do was put on a little bit of mascara and some lip gloss and some hair, and they were like, I want her. So that was a confidence boost and a sense of like I got this sense of validation from it as well. Like when I would be chosen, because I was thinking that I was always looking to be chosen by my father, and I never was. And I think subconsciously, not that I was wanting sex from my father, so don't get that twisted. No, but it was this daddy issue, looking for love kind of thing that a lot of women go through. That they don't even realize that the men that they're interested in a lot of times are reflections of their past and reflections of what they didn't get from their dad. So a lot of strippers, I had a lot of friends who were strippers and prostitutes and stuff like that. And they all had the same story that they didn't have a relationship with their dad.
Yeah.
And they were looking for it in other ways. And these are the kind of conversations that all of us would have together because we were connected. We have so much more in common than not. You know, just as human beings. And all of us came from different backgrounds. All of us came from different racial backgrounds. But we never saw that in each other. We just saw that we were sisters or family. And that's what a lot of these LGBT youth are looking for, a sense of belonging. And even though we were busting it wide open upstairs with all of these men and making money, at the end of the day, we would have so much fun because 80% of them, it wasn't about sex. They wanted companionship. They wanted someone to talk to because their wives weren't talking to them, or they were just recently divorced and a woman hadn't touched them in a long time. Or, they had their little kinks and maybe they wanted to dress up and they wanted to do whatever and they were transvestites. Yeah. And they didn't want anyone to know and we could keep their secret. Or they just wanted a shoulder to lean on.
Right.
Or they just wanted to get their pee-pee sucked. So
not the pee-pee.
And I did great at all of those. I still do.
Interesting.
But I'm not ashamed of it.
No, you shouldn't be.
I'm not ashamed of it because it doesn't define me. It's a part of my story.
Yeah.
And it's a part of what makes me who I am today. I don't want people to look at me and judge me, but if they do, it's none of my business. That's on them.
Yeah.
But now that I'm on the journey of finding a real relationship again, not that I'm necessarily looking for one, but if one happens to find me, I don't want, and if it happens, it does, but if a man judges me on my past, rather than embracing me for it, then it's his loss and not mine. So, good question.
No, absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
I haven't talked about them in years. Like, there were nights. I remember I chased Kendall around the table with a knife because she spit on me.
You were really like, you were just siblings. You were family.
Yeah, we were family.
Like, you would just chase the bitch around with a knife and it'd just be like, okay, sister, stop. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Well, the bitch spit on me. So I picked up a knife and chased the hoe around the table and was going to stab her.
What was like picking someone off the street like?
Easy.
I don't know if that's a thing nowadays.
Yes, it is.
I guess it is.
I just haven't
experienced
We live in Manhattan. So
we just
different.
Pull up. But like...
We just pulled up in this...
Like, how often are they just not down? Like...
They were never not down.
They were never not down. So like what, like...
A man don't put it in anything.
So you just
not to say that we were anything, but we were three beautiful women of a different experience.
And they love the attention.
But at that time, nobody was transitioning because we didn't even know that was possible.
Yeah.
Kendall was the first one to say, I want to transition. I am a woman. I couldn't say that yet out of fear because the only thing that I had in this world was my mother. And because my aunt had died, my grandmother had passed away. No, Jackie wasn't dead yet. My grandmother had passed away. My uncle had passed away. And I was afraid of losing my mother. I knew who I was. I've known who I was since I was little. But the idea of saying it out loud was terrifying to me.
Mm.
So like when my mother found out that I did drag, she took all of my clothes, all my wigs, and threw them away. Slapped me in the face and told me to never bring that shit in her house. And that was when I went to visit her. And I was living in that house, and I drove from Columbus, Ohio to New York to go see my mom. And I had looked very different. I looked like a totally different person. I was really experimenting with who I was and like feeling my oats. And she found, and I borrowed all of those clothes from Dominique. And Dominique was so pissed. She was like, "Bitch, where's my shit?" And I was like, "My mother threw it out." And she
Oh
was
no,
like,
it wasn't even yours.
Yeah, it wasn't mine. Because at that time, we would mop things.
Yeah, and share.
And I worked at Sally Beauty Supply during the day. I had gotten a job. I was the only one with a job.
Mama was mopping.
Yeah. And I was stealing all of the Revlon Pro.
I feel like mopping is so hard nowadays.
Oh, it was easy back then, honey.
No, I know. That's the thing. It's like, damn.
But we didn't have the funds to get lip liners, eyeshadows, and stuff like that, so we had to.
Girl, if you weren't mopping, like, you couldn't afford to do the lifestyle.
And they wouldn't fire me because they didn't realize that all their Revlon Pro was gone. And I was like, bitches, I'm so obvious. Like, I can't believe y'all won't fire me. No, the one time I got arrested for stealing, I was with Dominique, and she made me we had these big ass trench coats on, and she would go in and she made like little pockets on the inside, and she got all of the makeup, and my dumb ass goes and steal a packet of Marlboro cigarettes. You can't steal cigarettes. You can steal makeup because they don't care about that stuff. But yeah, I stole some cigarettes, and then the guy stopped me, and then he didn't arrest me. He stopped me. That was the first time.
Yeah. Yeah. I get so nervous.
I'm not telling you, don't ever steal now.
No, because it's like, I feel like, I mean, people still do, but it's like, it's a full different game, I feel like.
Yeah, it's not the same world. There's cameras everywhere, first of all.
Everywhere. I just saw a TikTok about how, like, in Target, like, there's, like, the cameras up above and everything, right? No, girl, they have hidden cameras, like, in the aisles at eye level.
Yeah.
That you don't see.
So
as you're grabbing that shampoo, you're like face to face with that.
But here's a tidbit that a lot of people don't know. In the retail industry, the security guards are not real security guards. They cannot touch you legally. If they put their hands on you to stop you from stealing, they get fired, you get to walk. Which is crazy. So they're there to deter.
They yell and humiliate you.
Yeah, so now that people know that, that's why you see all these people going to Macy's and stuff and just walking out with Louis Vuitton bags. Yeah. Because you can. Well, they have to call the police. And the police have to stop you. But in those days, the guys would literally come up and go like this.
Oh, yeah.
But they can't do that now.
They can't do that now.
Yeah, and I was a little skinny little girl, so you couldn't. I was like, "Oh, Mr. Officer, okay."
Mr. Officer.
And I would always cry. Because they'd be like, why did you take it? And I'd be like, I have no money. And I wasn't lying, because we were poor. We were young. We didn't have opportunities. I had a car at that time, and I got the same car repossessed twice because nobody had really taught me about credit. So I didn't really understand like what a credit card was really designed for. So I would like get a credit card and spend the whole thing in one day. Like, because credit and bills and things were just foreign to me, because as a person of color, the medium thing that you're going to teach your child is about money. You're teaching your child how to stay alive, and especially in the world that we lived in, because in 1995, it was around the OJ time and the Rodney King time, and things were very tense between people of color and non-people of color, and the police were exponentially murdering us, and things were happening. So it was like, if you leave the house and you get stopped by the police, make sure your hands are attended to. You're not teaching your child about credit.
What do you mean your hands are attended to?
10 and 2.
Like
on the wheel.
On the wheel.
10 and 2.
If you're stopped while driving.
Yeah. And you never, you're not rude to the police officer. You always want to make sure that you're conscientious. All those things that other people don't have to explain to their children.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the world was very different for us. And it was a wonderful time. because it was the time before social media. It was the time before Wi-Fi. It was the time before GPS, when we all had to write down our directions to just get there. And it was the time of the clubs and the after parties and the oh my God, it was just, and cocaine was good back then.
Without that, like, without that, like, influencer element in nightlife, without, like...
There were no influencers. That's when Ellen came out, got fired from her job. When Tu Wong Fu was out.
Ellen.
She came out on TV and got fired from her job.
I didn't know she got fired. What'd she get?
Yeah.
Like, what was that story? Do you
so
remember?
She came out as a lesbian. Her show was canceled. She lost her career for a short amount of time. And then she got her career back with The Ellen Show. But her coming out as a lesbian was a huge deal. And that was in 1997. I remember I was living in Columbus, Ohio. 1997, 98, 96, around that time. Because I remember I was living in Columbus. And the idea of coming out was scary.
Yeah.
Like, I had already come out. I came out on I came out on Mother's Day. When I came out on Mother's Day because my mother was so tired of asking me. And I was like, yes, fine. And she was like, huh, and we didn't talk for like a whole year.
Really?
Yeah, from 18 to 19, we didn't speak.
What? So
basically,
she was just like...
afraid.
She was afraid, but like she knew.
She
but
knew
she
who
just
I
needed to
was.
hear you say it.
Yeah, because she started asking me when I was 14.
Yeah.
She was like, you can tell me, honey, making it safe for me and giving me this false sense of security. And then, because that's the last thing that I wanted to say.
Yeah.
I had tried to pray it away. I tried to will it away. I couldn't change who I was. And I didn't want to, but I did. Because I just wanted to be normal. And my idea of normal was the white picket fence, the family, all of this stuff. And I knew from a young age that form of a life was not who I really was. Yes, I could have all of that, but it was going to have to go around another way. So you know how you're on a map and there's the easy way to the house, but then there's the way around the bumpy roads. My ass was going down the bumpy road, but I knew that that's where I was supposed to go.
Well, sometimes that easy route, like, you just don't, like, there's a detour.
Exactly.
They're doing construction, baby, like, and so you have to go down the harder route, but you still get there.
I'm still on my way.
Yeah.
I'm still on my way. I've come a long way. Like I said earlier, I may not be where I want to be, but I'm damn sure not where I used to be. And I have fallen more times than I will ever be able to comprehend. My whole life is a journey that is uniquely mine, but not at the same time, because so many girls that I know have gone through the same things.
Mm-hmm.
And we didn't know each other. We didn't grow up together, but it's like, bitch, you went through this? Yeah, bitch, I went through that. It's just like this commonality called the human experience that connects us all. And that's what I want people to understand. They may not get why I am the way that I am. I still don't. I don't understand why biology and chemistry designed me the way that I am. I never will. I stopped trying to understand it. I embrace it now. I have my days where I don't embrace it, where I wish that my life could have been different. But then I wake up and I get out of that mindset and I say, okay, these are the hands that I've been dealt. Now let's play this bitch. I'm a really good spades player, if anybody knows.
Okay.
I love playing cards, and I'm a master.
Why would we play cards?
Because you can't play spades. Can you play spades? You never even heard of spades. Thank you.
I know a lot of games.
Have you heard of spades?
Well, teach me.
Okay, I'm gonna teach you, but I'm not gonna play with you.
Why?
Because I'm very competitive and I like to.
Oh yeah. Okay, maybe.
So I can teach you, and
we'll
then
avoid that.
I'll take you to a spades game,
mm-hmm.
and you can watch your mom throw it down and beat some ass. That's who I am. I'm very competitive. It's a part of me being an Aries also.
I would love to see that.
Yeah. I beat guys who've been in prison. Like I am good at what I do. But with spades,
why hasn't this girl been on a reality TV show yet? You'd be so entertaining.
But with spades, the thing about it is that the whole analogy is you can't control the hand you're given, but it's all about how you play it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what my life is.
Mm.
My life is a spades game. And I'm winning.
Mhm.
Because there's so many girls. And I say this because I understand where my mother's fear was from. Her fear was from the stories, the horror stories of women being murdered, homeless, all of the things that I never thought were possible for me. This home, where I live, the job that I have, the friends that I have, and the relationship with my mother were unheard of in the 90s. You didn't see women like me walking around, ever. You might have saw them, but you didn't know you saw them because they were so fearful of coming out in the daytime because of, violence. I've had a better experience as me than I did before I decided to be me because
I remember you talking about that.
yeah, I would be catcalled and all kinds of stuff because I was so awkward.
Mm.
I was born into an awkwardness. I was born somewhere in between.
Goodbye.
Bye. Okay. That was good.